This is Pokemon Infinite Fusion, the fan game with over 251,000 different Pokemon combinations. Today we're here to see if we can beat a hardcore randomized Nuzlocke. That means if a Pokemon faints, it's considered dead. The level cap is the next leader's ace. No active items can be used in battle, and we play the games on set mode. If you like the video, the sound of my voice, and this isn't your first time here, definitely make sure you're subscribed to the channel. The only way I'm going to be able to continue to grow as a creator is with all of your help. So anything you can do to help me out would be like super cool. Infinite Fusion's newest update came out recently, which added over 30 new Pokemon into the game. So I'm really excited to see what types of fantastic fusions we're going to find ourselves rocking with. The way I'm going to be setting up this randomizer is that the Pokemon that we encounter in trainer battles could be comprised of literally anything. Which means we could be facing off against this or this. But in regards to the Pokemon that we find in the wild, as well as what we get for gift Pokemon, I am going to be keeping those around the same base stat total. So without further ado, let's see what types of wild fusions we're going to be getting. So starting things off in Professor Oak's lab, let's see what our choices are going to be for our starter Pokemon. First up, we have Mudras, Raprack, and finally Parasaur. And I'm pretty sure the most consistent choice is gonna be Parasaur, so that's who we're gonna pick. Who we're gonna nickname Spore. And that means now it's time for us to face off against Rando in our first ever rifle battle as he sends in Mudras. And the battle of the Parasex is underway. As we go for a scratch, he's gonna go for a growl. And after scratching again, he starts scratching us. But our spores, they don't affect one another. And after we continue scratching, apparently the paralysis does as we get knocked down to 5 and then 0. Well, so much for that. But luckily the Nuzlocke hasn't begun yet. On Route 1, we find ourselves a Zobat, who we're going to nickname Mimic. And we're actually going to reverse the fusion because the Poison Dark typing is a heck of a lot better. In Viridian City, Love Disc refuses to be randomized. On Route 22, we get our Spearcoth, who we're going to nickname Bird Person. In the Secret Garden, we're going to grab a Venedum, who we're going to nickname Predacon. And we're going to reverse this fusion as well, because how could I possibly give up that Steel typing? On Route 2 is Shatini, who we're going to nickname Zip. And in Viridian Forest, the Ralpix, who we're going to nickname Ember. And just because Fire Fairy is a little bit better than Fire Psychic, we are going to reverse into Volts. And on Route 3, we're going to get ourselves a Smearinch, who we're going to nickname Doodle. And now it's time for us to take on Brock and his Dragon Pokemon. Magnetrum comes in first, and holy crap baskets, we send an Ember. So it tries to go for a Supersonic, and we are going to fire back with a Confuse Ray. Before it tries to Supersonic us, and we go for a Disarming Voice. It snaps out of its confusion, going for another Thunder Wave as we get it down pretty low, and a Tackle does a little bit of damage to us. But with one more Disarming Voice, it's not quite enough. And after missing one more Supersonic, another Disarming Voice takes it out. Next out comes Rapid Dragon, who's going to go for a Tail Whip, and we can go for a Fuse Ray. And after it successfully smacked itself in the face, we can go for a Disarming Voice, doing about a quarter. It's then going to break through for a quick attack, activating our Oranberry, and we can go for another Disarming Voice. And I don't think this thing's going to have any Dragon moves, so we're going to swap out, setting in Zip, as it goes for another quick attack. It's then going to go for a Tail Whip, and we can go for a Twister, bringing it down quite low before an Ember comes in doing basically nothing, but it will activate our Berry as well, and one more Twister takes it out, and we defeat Brock, who had some very impressive Pokemon. We run to Nurse Joy outside of Mount Moon, tending to this wounded Geodude. Now enter Brock clinging in on the back of his Magnetrum. Brock then commands this massive dinosaur to use Magnet Pull on the Geodude, which is not exactly how that move works. But a small steel splinter that was embedded in its forearm comes flying out, attaching to the Magnetrum, healing the Geodude instantly. And with his work done here, Brock and Nurse Joy go off together in the sunset. And we get ourselves a fusion with a Pokemon with both the highest and lowest HP physically possible, who I'm going to nickname Y. And in Mount Moon, we're going to grab ourselves an Azulite, who we're going to nickname Wiggles. And while fighting our way through Mount Moon, Wiggles is going to evolve twice. First, into Mallet. And then one more glorious time, into Azumalet. Next up to evolve is going to be Spore, who ascends into a Pasor. And at the back of Mount Moon, we run into Team Rocket, and they appear to have captured some sort of rock scientist. I have no idea what they're doing, but it becomes clear once they slap the 3 rocket starters down on these panels. Team Rocket is attempting some sort of triple fusion. And while that seems super cool, it's gotta be super bad, because Team Rocket! But luckily for me and these Pokemon, when they activate the machine, it explodes, sending them all blasting off to parts unknown. And I grab Lord Helix for my troubles. And on Route 4, we grab a Nidodude, who we're gonna nickname Boy. We're gonna add Boy into the party and have it start evolving right away, first becoming Nidodude, and then exposing it to the Moonstone that we got in Mount Moon, it'll evolve again into Nidodude. Bird Person's gonna start evolving next, first into Spearoth, and one more glorious time, into Fearoth. Don't worry, the custom sprites come back later. And for our final evolution, Ember is going to ascend into Evolia. We run into Rando over on Nugget Bridge, where he lets us know that he just got the job offer of a lifetime. Some guy named Pentrel has apparently offered him a junior admin position at a very prestigious organization. But why the heck is this guy's name Gasoline? Rando starts off with Jigglyzard, and we send in Wiggles. We're gonna go for a Bubble Beam, doing a bit until I remember this thing is flying, you silly goose, and it goes for a disarming voice. Well, it certainly makes me wish that I gave this thing Rock Tomb, but anywho, another Bubble Beam's gonna get it down to about a third, as another disarming voice does some damage. And now that it's super low, it has disabled our Bubble Beam, but not our Bubble Regular. But we're gonna swap out, and instead we're gonna send in Boy, as it goes for a Plain Ice. Which is very rude, but we're gonna go for a Rock Tomb, bringing it down into the red, lowering its speed as it starts slapping me in the face. But luckily, those furious slaps poison it. And with one more Rock Tomb, we take out Jigglyzard. Next out comes Mudsect, who I absolutely love, and we are gonna go for a Peck, doing a bit of damage. After that, we're gonna swap into Bird Person as it continues storing the energy, and hitting us with a Bide, we can then go for a Yawn. On the following turn, we go for an Aerial Ace, and it goes for a Water Gun before falling to sleep. Which now we can Aerial Ace, KOing it instantly. Which leads into Jinnik, who I'm hoping is Psychic, so pardon me as we go for a Feint Attack, and it's not, and a Confusion's gonna do a bit of damage to us. So let's go for a Yawn on this thing too, as the Swift comes in, getting me to about half. And after healing up, it rests. Which is rude, but here's Ember. And we're gonna go for a neutral Ember, doing a bit of damage, and it goes for another rest. Are you kidding me? But we're just gonna keep on Embering this thing until inevitably it goes down. Left comes in as his final Pokemon, and excuse us. And a Double Slap's gonna get me down low enough to activate my berry, and we go for a Confuse Ray. And after slapping itself in the face, we're gonna go for a Will-O-Wisp before we go ahead and swap out and send in Wiggles. And with a Bubble Beam, we can take Clef down quite low. In between the burn and slapping itself in the face, one more Bubble Beam takes down Clefdon, and we defeat Rando. En route 24, we find Clefpuff, who we're gonna nickname Kirby. After crossing the Cerulean Cape, we find Bill in his lab, where he's experimenting with some sort of Pokemon-human fusion to create the ultimate weapon. But when he fuses up, he didn't mean to get Bidon. He wanted Rybill, so he wants us to go over to his computer and reverse the fusion. And when we do, the glorious Rybill steps out the other side, and he gives us some boat tickets. And now it's time for us to face off against Misty and her Fighty Fight Boys. Misty's first Fighty Fight Boy, Dunrath, comes in, and we send in Ember, who's gonna go for an Ancient Power on the first turn, doing about 50%, and we can go for a Will-O-Wisp. It then goes for another Ancient Power, knocking me down to just 7, which is going to activate our berry, and I can go for a Smooch, healing myself back up. And after a Yawn, one more Smooch takes it down. Next up comes Alachamp. And I'm going to swap out of Ember, and I'm going to send in Mimic as it tries to go for a Confusion. And going for a Wing Attack, we do about a third, and then it disables it. So I guess I'll go for a neutral bite as it tries to teleport away. And I don't think it can hit me with anything, so I'm just going to keep on chomping on this puppy as it continues to just try to teleport. Inevitably, it goes down, and we defeat Misty. On Route 5, we're going to grab ourselves a Nidosprout, who we're going to nickname Pepper. On Route 6, we're going to grab a Greemy, who we're going to nickname Drip. In Vermilion City, we fish up a Meowcate, who we're going to nickname Whiskers. After beating up this dork, we're going to take another fossil. And while fighting on the SS Hand, Spore is going to evolve into its next form, a Parasaur. Next up to evolve is going to become Boy, who becomes Wide Boy. Finally, Wiggles will become their final form of Azuma Trio. And look, I absolutely love these bunny clowns, but it's got to be Wiglet, right? Who am I kidding? It's been bunny clowns all along. Bunny clowns it shall stay. We run into Rando over on the SSM where he says he's been sent here on a very special mission from Commander Petrol, his new boss, at this super secret, super awesome organization of his. And all he had to do was feed the captain of this ship bad shrimp. And he has no idea why that would even be a job, but it was so easy to do. Anywho, Quillset comes in and we send in Wiggles. We're gonna go for a Bulldoze right away and KO the Quillsect, which leads into Marsect. And I am sorry that this thing does not have a custom sprite, and it goes for a Bite, and I go for a Bulldoze. And we're going to swap out and send in the Wide Boy before it hits us with a Bite, doing a lot of damage. And the Poison Point poisons us, and we can go for a Rock Tomb, getting him down pretty low. After that, we're going to go for another Rock Tomb, getting him way down into the red, as it goes for a Foresight, just so that way it can make sure it knows what it's looking at before it dies. Next up comes Quillvar. And what is going on with all these Quillfish? Anywho, Magnitude 7 is going to take it down quite low as a bubble does a bit of work. But I know that I'm faster, so we're going to stay in, score at 8, and then KO it. This leads into Magmarillary, and I have to assume either a fire or water move is coming, so let's swap into Mimic as it goes for a Smokescreen. I'm going to then go for a Confuse Ray as the Magmarillary punches itself in the face. I'm then going to go for a Stab, Cross Poison, taking it down on a crit. And with that, we've defeated Rando. And it turns out that Lieutenant Surge is haunted by the ghosts of his past. Anyways, Dustreon comes in first and we send in Spore. Oh wait, I forgot. No, we didn't. I didn't realize this thing had illusion. Anyways, we're going to go for a Bite and we're going to get it down quite low before Surge uses his first Super Potion. And after we go for another Bite, he's going to do the same thing again. And after that, he's going to swap out and send in Swamp Blast, whose sprite didn't load, and 2 bites take it out. Deltoon comes in next, and it's absolutely hilarious, and I do just over 50% as he heals up and then goes for an Icicle Spear. And thank goodness we're not still flying. But anyways, a Bite gets down quite low as the Clamps go ahead doing what the Clamps do before we take it out. After that, Dustreon comes back in, we bite it, it's gone, Mimic wins. On Route 9, we're going to grab ourselves a Rockbur, who we're going to nickname Doggo. On Route 10, we're going to grab a Honchop, who we're going to nickname Gilly. And in the power plant, we're going to get this totally regular, not at all different Murkrow, who we're going to nickname Fedora. In Rock Tunnel, we're going to grab Spinapalm, who we're going to nickname Spunky. While fighting our way through Rock Tunnel, Ember is going to evolve into a Volvoar. In Pokemon Tower, we run into Rando, who lets us know that he was supposed to meet a couple of colleagues here for an important business meeting, but he can't seem to find them anywhere. So while he's waiting, we might as well have a battle. Rando starts off by sending in Weepin' Plup, and we send in Wiggles. I'm going to go for an Aqua Tail right away, doing basically nothing as it goes for a Poison Powder. I thought this thing was Grass Water, but maybe I'm wrong. Anywho, we're going to swap out and send in Spore as it tries to go for a Poison Powder. We're then going to go for a Slash, doing a decent amount of damage as it goes for a Stun Spore. Okay, it is Grass because I tried to go for a Spore and it didn't work, as another Slash brings it down quite low and Rando heals up. And after we go for a few more slashes, we take it down. Next up comes Marsect, who goes for a Bite, and I can't go for a Leech Seed, but I'm also just trying to wait out the Bite as nothing happens. It tries to go for another one, so I might as well keep on trying to do some stuff here. But inevitably, we're going to need a switch, and I do send in Mimic instead as a Bite hits me for about 50%. And with a Wing Attack, we bring it down quite low as it then goes for a Mud Bomb, and starts going for more bites. So another wing attack takes it out. Next out comes Riolu, who is adorable, and it is absolutely super vulnerable to a wing attack, so we take it down in one, who leads into Konkuno, who I'm pretty sure is dragon flying, so I'm going to swap out, and I'm going to send in Boy as it goes for a scary face. It then goes for a protect as I try to throw a rock at its face, and then we do connect with those rocks doing a considerable amount of damage, and it decides to dragon tail me out, which poisons it, which is excellent. And with Ember being dragged in, he's going to heal up, and we can go for a Smoochy Kiss doing just over 50%. And after protecting, the poison's going to continue to tick the damage down on this thing as it goes for a bide. Why do all those Pokemon have bide? Anywho, we take it down, and we defeat Rando. After our battle concludes, we hear a crash and some screaming on the other side of the room, and Rando and I go to investigate, where we see a couple of Team Rocket grunts interrogating this old man. And this is when Rando lets us know that these are the colleagues he's been waiting for the important business meeting. But before he can introduce himself properly, they drag the man upstairs, locking the door behind them. And hold on a second, Rando, did you join Team Rocket? What's more important is, did you not realize you joined Team Rocket? We're going to get ourselves a Driftmander on Route 8. On Route 7, we're going to find a Pumpful, who we're going to nickname Jack. In the game corner, Scyther's been randomized into a Whale Barrel, who we're going to nickname Bella. And on Route 16, we're going to grab Kakros, who we're going to nickname Buzzer. Once we get to Celadon City, we're going to give Ember a Firestone so she can evolve into her final form of Ninebwar. And finally, Mimic is going to ascend as well into a Crowrar. Next up is Boar, who ascends to their final form of Parasaur. We find Rando outside the Celadon City sewers beating up a couple of Rocket grunts because he just realized that he joined Team Rocket and they're the bad guys. But he doesn't know what to do. He's already signed an exclusive contract with Team Rocket. He's not allowed to be a goodie anymore, only a baddie. He then asks if we can infiltrate Team Rocket's super secret underground base, which is right through these sewers. And if we can find his contract and steal it back, he'll no longer have to be a bad guy. Rando, you're my bestest pal in the whole wide world. Of course I'll steal this contract for you. And we're gonna grab ourselves a double fused Eevee in the sewers, who we're gonna nickname Eevee. After fighting our way to the back of Team Rocket's super secret underground base, we find the local gym leader Erika, who has apparently already been defeated by Giovanni. So if we want to defeat Team Rocket, kick them out of Celadon City, and get Rando's contract back, it looks like we're gonna have to fight the big boy, Geo. Daddy Geo starts off by sending in a Noctoot, and we send in an Ember. I'm gonna go for a Combine here to try to boost up my stats as it goes for an extra Sentry, doing a bit of damage to us. And once we get up to +2, it goes for another extra Sensory. I then go for a Smooch, doing about 50%, and it goes for a Takedown. But I guess I should use some more Combines? So after getting to +4, maybe that'll be enough to keep me alive. And we can take it out with another Draining Kiss. Next down comes Goldseed. And I know Flamethrower is at least going to be neutral here, so we go for that and grab the Yoko. His final Pokemon, Dinarask, comes in. And the Lapras body means that it's Ice type, though a Flamethrower does quite a bit of damage as it decides to go for an Ancient Power. And even at +4, it still does about a quarter to me, so thank goodness for that. Anywho, Giovanni's going to heal up with 1 potion before we can inevitably take it down with 2 more Flamethrowers. And with that, we defeat Giovanni. But it turns out that Rando's contract isn't here. It's at another super secret other location, and Giovanni has other business to attend to. See ya! And now it's going to be time for us to take on Erika, who is also a Dragon-type specialist. Erika starts off by sending a Resha Peekaboo, excuse us, and we send an Ember. Alright, let's go for some Combines, because I have to hope I can smooch all these things, and an Ancient Power does quite a bit. So let's smooch to heal up a little bit as it goes for an Imprison after that. Then she's going to heal up and we can go for another 2 smooches, taking down this Peekaboo. Next out comes Graham. And I don't know why that's so funny to me, but it's going to go for a takedown, doing quite a bit of damage to us, and we can go for a Smoochy Kiss, but apparently this thing is Fire Dragon, which is unfortunate, but what is fortunate is that it misses a Sand Tomb. So we're going to get it down just below half, activating its Citrus Berry, but we can get healed back up to full as we then get hit by the Sand Tomb. Now getting it down to about a quarter, We're in a little bit better of a spot, but unfortunately the Sand Tomb is going to come back in, hitting us for some more dot damage. And it'll inevitably use another takedown, which brings it down super low, activating my berry, and we take it out, which leads into Gooble. It's Gooble to meet you too, little buddy, and we're gonna go for a big old smooch, take it out, and we defeat Erika. We're gonna grab ourselves a Pseudo-Wish inside of Pokemon Tower, who we're gonna nickname Dancer. While climbing to the top of Pokemon Tower, Bird Person is going to ascend to Fear King. At the top of Pokemon Tower, we meet up with the renowned scientist, Mr. Fuji, who lets us know that Team Rocket is on the next step of their super secret plan, and it can't be that much of a secret if you know about it, dude. But apparently they want to capture all 3 Cantonian legendary birds and fuse them together with some sort of triple fusion. I let Mr. Fuji know that the triple fusion doesn't work, but he says no, it does now, because reasons. Now take this fruit, my boy, and play it. It's our only hope. And while I don't understand what any of that means, I guess I should go play the flute. And whilst playing this flute, I dance for this sleepy bear. But it turns out it's not a bear at all. It's a happy sunflower, who we're gonna nickname Poppy. On Route 13, I don't know what this is either. On Route 14, we can grab a Farsi. And on 15, we can get this CP little guy, who we're gonna nickname Nemo. And we're gonna grab ourselves a pin pie inside the Safari Zone. And now it's time for us to take on Koga and his dark dudes. Ursa Ito comes in first, and we send in Bird Person. I'm gonna go for a Brick Break because I'm pretty sure it's quad super effective, and we're right, and it goes down. Next out comes Mewile, who is absolutely freaking precious, and I forgot this thing has True, and I need to switch that. So we're gonna go for another Brick Break, which is gonna grab the Oko. But it turns out it was a disguise. And Houndlass is up next. And after hitting us with a feint attack, I'm just going to sit around for a little bit before I get hit with a beat up, and then I can't smack this thing. So let's switch things up. We're going to swap out Bird Person and send in Spore, and it's going to go for another beat up. And I really hope it doesn't have a fire move as we go for a Spore. And after that Spore, we're going to go for a Leech Seed, and I'm pretty sure that the Dark is coming from the Houndoom, you silly goose, but it could still have a fire move. Anywho, we're going to go for a Cross Poison, doing a whole lot of nothing as the Leech Seed continues to do some stuff. So we're going to switch things up and send in Wiggles as it wakes up, going for a Fire Fang, which was an excellent call, Sean. And after healing up with a Hyper Potion, we can go for a Play Rough on the Houndlass, picking up the KO, which leads into the real Mewile. And with one more Play Rough, we can take this thing down to effectively nothing, but it has a Black Sludge because that's what Chinook normally has, and Koga goes down. While fighting our way through Silph Co, Boy is going to evolve into this thing. After saving everybody in Silph Co, we run into Rando once again, who lets us know that since we were unable to get his contract back from Team Rocket, he has no other choice but to face off against us, because Team Rocket. Rando starts off with a Chuckstrom, and we send in Bird Person. I'm pretty sure that this thing is Dragon, so we're going to go for an Ice Punch, and it is, and we do about half as a Poison Jab comes in doing a bit to us. We're then going to go for a Stab Drill Peck, bringing it down quite low, as another Poison Jab is going to bring us down pretty low too, but then we're going to heal up as he goes for another Poison Jab. But with one more Drill Peck, we take down this Dino, which leads into Pseudo Gigas, who looks incredibly tired, and it's going to go for a Sucker Punch on us, and we can follow up with a Brick Break, taking it down in just one. Next up comes Marshect. And we can go ahead with a Drill Peck, taking it down in just one shot, which leads into Octokazam, who is a 10 out of 10 fella. And we're going to go ahead and heal up as he decides to go for an Ice Beam, which is going to slam us at 33. So let's swap out Bird Person and send in Ember instead as it goes for a Focus Energy. It then follows up with a Signal Beam, but joke's on you, I'm Fairy type, but it does get the confusion off, which is a little frustrating, but then we're going to give this guy a big smooch to heal back up. And assuming a Water move, we're going to swap out and then send in Wiggles, and he goes for another Signal Beam. After that, we're going to go for a Bulldoze, bringing him down into the red as he goes for a Ring Out, bringing me down just below half. But with one more Bulldoze, we take down the Octokazam. Mamak, his final Pokemon, comes in. And I'm going to swap out and send Ember back in, and it's going to go for a bulk up. Oh, we can go for a Psychic, grab the Oko, defeating Rando. I let Rando know that all we need to do is beat Giovanni in a Pokemon battle. Since he is Rando's boss, he's the one that holds the power over the contract, and if we defeat Giovanni by the transitive properties of Pokemon rules, he no longer works for Giovanni. So that's all we gotta do. So together the two of us storm into Mr. President's office where he and Giovanni are having some sort of really important business meeting. Master Balls, give them to me. No, I will not give you the balls, Giovanni. You must give me the balls. Okay, here's 3. But before Giovanni can take his balls and leave, enter 2 children, and we want that contract, Daddy Gio. So I guess we're gonna have to fight for it. Gio starts off with Snorbuzz and Yanix, and we're gonna send in Togalogian and Bird Person. So I'm gonna swap out Bird Person right away and send in Boy. The Snorbuzz goes for a Belly Drum, which is horrifying, and Yanix goes for a Shadow Ball on Togalogian, and Togalogian goes for an Aura Sphere on Snorbuzz. Giovanni then takes this opportunity to heal up as Yanix goes for another Shadow Ball on Togalogian, taking it down. Which means when I go for an Earthquake, I don't have to feel bad about this. And we do a bunch of damage to Snorbuzz, and a lot less than I thought we would to Yanix, but I guess it's ground and not rock. Anywho, Genipede's gonna go for a Shadow Ball, taking down Yanix. Snorbuzz then goes for a rollout, doing a bunch of damage to Genipede, poisoning it, which is lovely. And then Boy is gonna go for an Earthquake, and hopefully this thing has Levitate. Nope, it doesn't. Alright, sorry Genipede. Oh, we take down both of those Pokemon. Kanoom comes in. Look, all 3 of these Pokemon are absolutely adorable, and I'm in love with them, and I cannot help but laugh at Tanum. It is so freaking precious, but we're going to do about 50% to everybody all around the field as a future site gets set up. And then, excuse us, Axits hit me with a guillotine, and it actually connected? That is how we lose our first Pokemon of the run, which is insane. So we're going to go ahead and send in Ember, and then go for a Smoochie Kiss, taking down this stupid little dragon. After that, another future site's going to get set up, and an Ancient Power is going to come in on Ember, doing a butt-ton of damage. But we can then go for a Flamethrower, taking down Tanum, and we defeat Giovanni, thus freeing Rando from his contract. But Giovanni no longer has any need of Nepo Baby Garrison Oak, otherwise known as Rando, so he frees him from his contract, takes his balls, and leaves, without leaving anything for us to play with. And for saving everybody in Silph Co, we are going to get this gooey little cactus, who we're going to nickname Flubber. I don't know when I'm ever going to use a Sea King again, so we're going to add Nemo into the party and evolve it first into a Sea-Tick. And then we're going to give it a Shiny Stone so it will evolve one more time into Sea-Kiss. But don't worry, the sprite just didn't load, it does exist. Right, that's because I need to reverse it. So anyways, now we're going to reverse the fusion on Sea-Kiss and give ourselves Koga King. And now it's time for us to take on Sabrina and her fire guys. Sabrina starts off by sending in Oroxen, which is cool, and we send in Nemo. And we are going to go for a Surf right away, taking it down in just 1. Next up comes Cyndavi, who is absolutely freaking adorable, and this little schnoz goes down, which leads into Heramilian, who I love that it's like wearing a suit of armor. It is wicked. And when we go for a Surf, it survives on like nothing. And Sabrina's going to heal up with both of her potions before we can inevitably take it down after a couple of Surfs. But it does manage to connect with the Pin Missile before it goes down, doing like a lot of damage. Psymander comes in as her final Pokemon, and this is really the downside of the randomizer. Sometimes you get wicked, crazy, impressive Pokemon like we did against Brock, and sometimes you get a bunch of Charmanders. But anyways, we beat Sabrina. On Route 21, we're going to grab ourselves a Tox. And since this is technically a dupe, we'll have to evolve this one into a Gallade if we use it, who we're going to nickname Stinger. Next up, Absol's been randomized into Sneeduck, who we're going to nickname Quackers. And in Pokemon Mansion, we're going to grab a Cranarogue, who we're going to nickname Hammerfist. And now it's time for us to take on Blaine and his Rock Hard boys. Regison comes in first, and we send in Wiggles. And we're going to go for an Aqua Tail, taking it down in just one, which is going to lead into Consola. Who, once again, we can go for another Aqua Tail, taking down this silly little chicken. Which leads into Aram, who is absolutely gorgeous. And we're going to go for another Aqua Tail, but a Pacha Berry can't save it. And when Electaperior comes in, this thing is absolutely massive. And an Aqua Tail doesn't quite get the KO. After that, he's going to go ahead and use his first full restore, and we can go for an Earthquake instead, grabbing the Oko, defeating Blaine. So I know I said I wasn't going to use this Pokemon, but I don't really have that much of a choice up against Zapmalkuno, so we're going to grab Hapinja. Who we're going to start evolving. First, after giving it an Ovastone and leveling it up, it becomes Greninja. And after pumping this thing full of candy, we're going to get ourselves a Blisseyja. And since its only weakness is Dark, Zapmalkuno isn't going to be able to hit it. On the Offshore Road, we're going to grab a Rosect, who we're going to nickname Flick. And in Mount Ember, we're going to grab ourselves a Noigast. And after fighting our way through Mount Ember, we meet back up with Team Rocket, where it turns out that Giovanni has not only captured all 3 legendary birds, it is officially confirmed that Team Rocket's triple fusion technology is complete. And with all 3 birds out of their balls, he declares that the time has come to fuse the 3 legendary birds. But there's one thing that Giovanni didn't count on. And it's a weird egg-shaped bug that I have in my pocket. They say that the early bird gets the worm, but I'm pretty sure he's not getting this one. Your time has come, Daddy Gio. He starts off by sending in Zapmalkuno, and I send in why? And it cannot do a damn thing against me. So I'm just going to go ahead and get the Toxic set up on all 3 of them before I just start going for Thunderbolts and Ice Beams. Giovanni wastes his time going for some full restores on Moltres and Zapdos, but I'm just going to get the Toxic back on there. And actually, I'm not sure how many of these he has, but Articuno is now getting down pretty low, but also because of the pressure, I am out of PP on Toxic. But it's more than enough where Articuno and Zapdos both still have the poison on them, and I can take down Moltres with a Thunderbolt. Articuno then goes down to the poison, and Zapdos is getting down pretty low as well. And just after 2 more turns, we take down Zapdos, and Giovanni's master plan was undone by this thing. And with Giovanni defeated, the 3 legendary birds defuse and return to where they're supposed to be. Except Moltres, who's supposed to be here. And Giovanni decides to leave, dejected, defeated, depressed. And with that, Team Rocket disbands. And we need to see what these birds are hiding. So the sprite didn't load for Darksea, but it has 4 really neat ones, so we're gonna grab this. And here's one of them. I love that it's yawning, but we're gonna name CP Head. So let's grab our Ice Pick and Power Plant key and see what the other birds are hiding behind. First up is going to be Articuno, who is actually, Hoglon, who we're going to nickname Rainbow. And in the Power Plant, check out Weevo. This is a quote last special, who's fodder's mummy. And now it's time for us to take on Giovanni and his psychic Pokemon. Giovanni's going to start off by sending in Duanette, and we are going to send in Bird Person. But guess what? It's not really Bird Person. And we go for an Ice Slash, taking it down, which leads into Dylano, who is absolutely awesome. Well, we're going to get hit with an Iron Tail doing a butt ton of damage to us. And going for another Ice Slash, we don't quite get the KO as an Aura Sphere comes down, getting us down to just 18 before Geo heals up. So we're going to swap out, and instead we're going to send in Y, and we can avoid an Aura Sphere. Geo then uses another full restore, and we can go for a Shadow Ball, doing about a third as it goes for an Iron Tail, which it can't hit us with. And with another Shadow Ball, he's going to heal up on the following turn, and I'm just going to keep on trying to go for this stuff, since I don't think it can hit me. At least it hasn't figured out if it can hit me or not. But we eventually take it down with a bunch of Shadow Balls. Next out comes Necrofint. Who is going to go for a Photon Geyser? Aww. I didn't realize that would hit me. Alright, here's Wiggles. And we're gonna go for an Aqua Tail, bringing this thing way down as it goes for another Photon Geyser, doing some good damage to us. But one more Aqua Tail takes it out. Next up is Renuncion. And we're gonna go for an Aqua Tail, doing about 50% as it sets up a future sight. And then we're gonna swap out and send in Bird Person as this thing goes for a Psychic. This was probably a bad idea since it's an ice Pokemon, but we take it down with a Drill Peck, leading into Renewierre. After that, we are gonna slack off as it goes for a Psychic. We're then gonna slack off again because I'm afraid, and we're gonna keep on slacking off, trying to burn through all these Psychics as it then goes for a Heal Block. What a 10 out of 10 play. Let's go for an Ice Punch, and we get the freeze. That's what you get, Renewierre. And after 2 Ice Punches, it goes down. And with that, we've defeated Giovanni. Unfortunately, we lost Y, but I'll find a way to survive. On Route 26, we grab a Wubtret. On Victory Road, Entei's been randomized into Misty, who we're gonna nickname Shadow. Needing to get our party ready for the Elite Four, we're gonna add Predacon back in and start evolving it, until it eventually evolves into a Metapede. And to fill in the last slot in our team, we're gonna take our Eevee and start feeding it stones. First, a Thunderstone for Eon, and then a Firestone, transforming it into Flareon. And I've always loved this little butt fire sprite. And now that we've made it to the Pokemon League, let's take one quick look at our team before we face off against the Elite Four. First up is Nemo the Togeking, with Surf, Ice Beam, Air Slash, and Draining Kiss. Wiggles the Azuma Trio, with Aqua Tail, Brick Break, Earthquake, and Stone Edge. Ember the Ninevwar, with Flamethrower, Calm Mind, Draining Kiss, and Psychic. Eevee the Flareon, with Thunderbolt, Flamethrower, Bite, and Will-O-Wisp. Predacon the Metapede, with Meteor Mash, Brick Break, Poison Jab, and Swords Dance. And finally, Fodder the Weevo, with Night Slash, Sacred Fire, Earthquake, and Swords Dance. And now it's time for us to take on Lorelei and her Frozen Fairies. Yanvion comes in and we send in Fodder. And I'm going to swap out like literally right away and send in Predacon as it goes for a Screech. It's then going to U-turn out and switch into Vulia, and we can go for a Meteor Mash, taking it down. This leads into Ratwile, who is a wicked sprite. Anywho, Meteor Mash takes it out, leading back into Yanvion. And I'm just going to keep on punching these things in the face until inevitably Paraville comes in, who is absolutely precious, but it also goes down pretty quickly. Leffy is her final Pokemon, and with one massive Meteor Mash, we don't kill it. It doesn't actually happen. But with a Poison Jab, we finish the job, defeating Lorelei. And now it's time for us to take on Bruno and his spooky, scary ghosts. Rise Slash comes in and we send in Fodder. And before this thing gets a chance to use an electric move, I'm going to try to kill it, but it doesn't go down as Bruno then heals up. And after he uses his second full restore, we score a crit on a Night Slash, taking it down, leading into Q-Tome, who is absolutely adorable. And going for Night Slash, we do quite a bit of damage, and a Retaliate does basically nothing, but it will activate our berry. After that, I'm going to go for a Swords Dance as he goes for an Endeavor, which is a wicked douche move, but we take it down after one more hit, leading into Treblade, who is wicked, and we're going to swap out into Ember as Treblade goes for a Horn Leech. We're going to fire back with a Flamethrower, taking Treblade down in just one shot. This leads into Militome, and we're going to swap out, sending in Eevee, which probably wasn't a great idea as it goes for a Rain Dance. And we fire back with a Thunderbolt, taking it down into the red as it sets up a Safeguard. After that, one more T-Bolt takes it down. His final Pokemon, Miscon, comes in, and it astonishes us, and then we go for a Bite. After astonishing us yet again, we unfortunately get flinched, but on the following turn, we go for a Thunderbolt. It's then going to fire off a Psywave, bringing me down to just 22, before we take Miscon down, and we defeat Bruno. And in full defiance of the randomizer, it's time for us to take on Agatha and her spooky, scary ghost. Golmass comes in, and I absolutely love this sprite. And we're going to go for a Surf because I'm hoping it's ground, and it is. See ya. Next up comes Gira Sprout, who is absolutely horrifying. And going for an Ice Beam does effectively nothing as it goes for a Shadow Force. And unfortunately, I don't have a normal type Pokemon anymore, so a Shadow Force is going to come in doing a butt ton of damage to me, holy moly. But let's swap out and send in Predacon as this thing goes for a Shadow Claw. And I'm realizing I should have put somebody in with a dark move, and we're gonna go for a Meteor Mash on this thing, doing about a third. And we're then gonna swap out, setting in fodder instead, as it decides to go for an Aura Sphere, which is gonna be neutral. Agatha then uses the full restore, and we go for a Night Slash, bringing it down low, and then go for a Swords Dance as it goes for a Hex. And with one more Night Slash, we take it out, leading into Silph, who is adorable, and we're gonna light it on fire, destroying its disguise and getting the burn off, which is really funny. And after that, we are gonna let loose an Earthquake, taking it down, leading into Mimirunt, who doesn't have a disguise, so we can take it out with an Ice Slash. Finally, Narigas comes in, and I absolutely love this sprite. And you, Night Slash takes it out, we defeat Agatha. And now it's time for us to take on Lance and his mythical water Pokemon. Remorunt comes in first, and we send in Wiggles. We're gonna go for an Earthquake on the first turn, taking out Remorunt. Rockstomp comes in next, and I'm gonna stay in, going for a Stone Edge, doing about half as it goes for a Synchronize. And after that, we're gonna go for another Stone Edge as it hits us with a Aqua Tail, taking us down quite low, and then heals up, and I forget about Levitate. So let's swap out and send in Nemo in instead as it goes for a Synchronize once again. And after smacking me with an Aqua Tail, I'm going to smooch this thing to try to heal up a little bit as it heals up with its next full restore. And I'm just going to keep on smooching this dude as it then follows up with a Psychic Fangs, and it's now down below half, hitting us with another Aqua Tail, and I can smooch it down into the red. And with one more Aqua Tail, one more Smoochy Kiss takes it down. This leads into Carlet next, who is absolutely precious and goes for a Poison Fang. But luckily for me, it is a first stage Pokemon, and we can go for a Surf, taking it down. Leading into Amphaworld, who is an absolutely insane Pokemon. I'm going to swap out into Eevee, and he's going to go for a Cotton Guard. And after that, I miss a Will-O-Wisp as he sets up a Light Screen, but don't worry, we got it on the following turn once he goes for a Signal Beam. I'm then going to go for a neutral Thunderbolt, doing like basically nothing because of the Light Screen. And after it takes a bit of damage from the burn, I go for a Bite instead, but it still does effectively nothing as it continues to Signal Beam me. But luckily the burn is going to continue to do its thing, so I can make sure I get a decent amount of damage in there. And it keeps on sending me these weird mixed signals, but I don't really know what it's trying to say to me. With the Light Screen gone, we can go for another neutral Thunderbolt, taking it down. Rollgator comes in as the final Pokemon for Lance. And I love this Dave Rollgator, but we're going to swap out and send in Nemo as it goes for an Earthquake, which is going to get me down to 11. And I thought I'd outspeed and I don't, but luckily we hit a Surf. And assuming another Earthquake, we're going to swap out Nemo and then send in Fodder. We can then follow up with an Ice Slash, getting it down to about a third before it goes for a Rest. But I guess I'll go for a Swords Dance. And then hitting it with an Ice Slash, we take it down quite low, and one more takes it down. And with that, we've defeated Lance, and we're moving on to the championship. Once we step into the Champions Chamber, we are met face to face with Rando. Now free from Team Rocket, able to do whatever he wants. And what did he want to do? He wanted to make his own crime empire. Rando Incorporated is in full swing. And after a hostile takeover of the Elite Four, he plans on turning them against the Kanto region now that he's the president. And I don't think that that's how this works, Rando. But I need to stop you before it's too late. Rando's gonna send in Luxgeon, and we send in Predacon. I'm gonna go for a Swords Dance on the first turn, and it's gonna go for a Discharge, doing a bit of damage, and unfortunately I'm paralyzed now. On the following turn, it goes for a Crunch, and I am completely paralyzed. It then goes for another Discharge, bringing me down to 32, and I miss my Poison Jab, which I didn't even know I could do. So we're going to swap out into Eevee as we tank another Crunch. And going for a neutral Thunderbolt, we're going to do about a third as it decides to go for a Thunderfang, and then misses on the following turn so we can safely take it out. Wobset comes in after that. And we're going to stay in going for a Flamethrower, but we don't do a whole heck of a lot, and a Hammer Arm takes Eevee down. Look at those hands! So we're going to send in Wiggles. Rando then uses the full restore even though he didn't use it on his Nuzlocke 2 minutes ago, and we're gonna go for an earthquake doing like literally nothing. No, this thing's bug, so we go for a stone edge doing a bit more, and it goes for an endeavor. And after that we go for an aqua tail, and okay, cool, it is water bug, and that's super duper, but we avoid whatever attack it was going for. I wasn't reading, and then we can go for another stone edge, bringing it down into the red as this swamp sect goes for an earthquake, taking me down to 1 HP. Rando then uses another full restore, and I go for a stone edge, scoring a crit, and I still don't even do half. This thing is chonky. We're gonna swap out and send in fodder as it decides to go for a hammer arm. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna go for a nice slash, getting it down a bit, and the effect spore puts me to sleep, and I'm regretting not taking this as my starter as a takedown, bringing me down to just 18 HP before my berry heals me up. But I can't afford to switch, and luckily it misses a hammer arm. I'm still sleeping as another takedown takes down fodder. So in comes Nemo. And we can go for an air slash, getting this thing down to like literally nothing as another hammer arm comes in, lowering its speed even more. And Rando still has more full restores, so it's time to start slashing this thing with the power of the air before he swaps out then again Genium. That was a weird move because I can KO it in two, but I miss on the second hit. And then a Dark Pulse also does stuff, but it's dead now. Next up comes Gerunjo, my god. I'm gonna go for a Smoochy Kiss, doing just a bit of damage so I can get a little bit of healing in there, and it goes for a Hex. And I'm hoping this thing is Dragon as Rando uses his next full restore, and we can go for an Ice Beam, and it's not. So let's go for a Surf instead, and we bring it down as a Shadow Claw comes in. And I gotta hope for the flinch or the KO, and I don't get either. And Nemo goes down. We are really suffering here, so let's go Ember. I'm gonna go for a single Calm Mind as it goes for an Aura Sphere, and I guess I might as well go for another one if it's wasting its turns like that, and then it follows up with a Hex. And now at +3, a Shadow Claw comes in, getting me down quite low, so we go for a Flamethrower. And Swamp Set comes back in. And I'm gonna go for a Smoochy Kiss, getting it down just below half, and the effect spore puts Ember to sleep as I heal back up, and it goes for a freaking earthquake, taking Ember down. And we are in a bad way, sending in Wiggles. So I'm gonna go for a Stone Edge on 1 HP, scoring a crit, taking down Swamp Sect, leading into Cyril. I outspeed, going for a Stone Edge, and I score a massive hit, but it hits me with an Iron Head, taking me down. With only Predacon remaining. And we managed to connect with a Poison Jab, grabbing the KO. Which is then gonna lead into Hydrill. Hydrill goes for a Dragon Rush, which we resist, and then we can go for a Meteor Mash, doing just over 50%. And we are barely hanging on by a thread. And it goes for another Dragon Rush, and I'm down to just 18 HP. And another Meteor Mash takes down Hydrill. With that, we defeat Rando and become the Pokemon League champions, ending his reign of terror. And that, everybody, is how I beat a hardcore randomized Nuzlocke of Pokemon Infinite Fusion, the fan game with over 251,000 different Pokemon combinations. If you liked the video, you made it this far, and you're not subscribed, what the heck are you doing? Like, hit the button. You know you want to. I do a new Nuzlocke run just about every week here on the channel, and I stream a couple times a week as well. So if you like what you see so far, you should definitely make sure you've hit that thumbs up, you subscribe, you do all the fun stuff, and check it out. But let me know in the comments down below what other types of runs you'd like to see in the future, and who your favorite fusion was. This was one heck of a randomizer, and I'm really happy with how our team turned out. But anywho, I'll catch you all in the next video. See ya!